Dancing can end up in either one of them because of the type of dancing. It's very instructor or individual based. You know, Zumba is probably going to be more impact. Curtis, what kind of dancing do you, what is it called? Ballroom. Not a lot of strain on the knees or the spine, right?
Down on their knees just like you do.
Okay.
And our back has to be straight.
So? Tension. Yours is more tension. Zumba, twerking. Anybody in this room twerk? That might get you over into impact. So, running again can be in both of them. If it's just, you know, like jogging, then it's probably a little more on the tension side. The body's under tension, very linear. You're not going to get the spine movement this way. Definitely in the impact, if you're running on concrete, run on the sand or on grass, not as much impact. So these are all like personal choices that you need to decide when you have a healthcare program. By the way, does everybody have a healthcare program? There's the healthcare program over there. I think we can see it from here, the hospital, right? That's like, you know, something just happened, I need to go there, or I'm not feeling good, that's the healthcare program. This is my healthcare program. Thinking about what I'm doing and making my body do it. And to know when to do something and when not to do it, that's the goal. And that goes back to the being a sage and having some wisdom. I should not be at this point in time doing judo rolls and throws. Mountain climbing, probably not the best for me anymore. You know, I'll still go hiking, just, you know, not going to do the mountain stuff. So, yeah, dancing and running can kind of be in either of these categories depending upon what you're doing with it. The point that kind of starts to come out is it doesn't really matter which one you're doing as long as it's good for you, you enjoy doing it, and you're doing it consistently. People that practice Tai Chi once a month probably would be better off if they went swimming. More than once a month. Swim once a month, Tai Chi once a month, I agree with the Tai Chi. Swim every day for a month, do Tai Chi for one day, go swimming. You'll get more. Whatever you're doing consistently is the best healthcare program for all of you. So I'm not even going to get into diet and, you know, there's so many other aspects of it. We're just talking kind of about physically moving the body. Vibration. Anybody know about vibration when it comes to building bone tension? No, Jim, do tell us. Yeah, a machine. So there was back in the day, I remember seeing this on television. My parents might have had one. It's a device that looks like a motor kind of, and it had a big belt on it, and you put it around your waist, and you're supposed to stand there, and this thing would vibrate the fat off your body, right? So I think it ended up being kind of, you know, banned or something by the, you know, FCC, saying that it was not a legitimate product. But guess what? 50 years later, we got people going up on the space shuttle, and they're bringing with them a plate that they stand on, a big plate, I don't know, kind of like a chair maybe, and they stand on it, and being that there's no gravity, the plate vibrates. Getting the dry erase stuff on my hands. The plate vibrates, and they're in zero gravity, so the plate is moving, and they're trying to stay on it, so their body's doing this. So there's some logic to it.
We had a demonstration a couple months back.
Yeah. So maybe it doesn't help you lose weight from 50 or so years ago, but today it helps you maybe build up bone density because of your constantly trying to shift and adjust and hold your body under tension to maintain your balance. So, yeah. When we did this a year ago, I didn't know quite as much about it, so I read up a little bit more on it, and found out NASA was doing that. And then you can buy them, the plates. They're about $150 now, $250, somewhere around there. So, if you want to invest it and try it, why not? Typically what happens with most exercise equipment, after a week or two, first month maybe, people put it in the closet and off to the side. So be careful what you purchase. Healthcare program, equipment program, I'm the equipment. I do the movements, I do the exercises, I don't rely upon that stuff. Occasionally we'll do stuff with the class where we do, hold bottles of water like this with our fingertips, or bean bags, like in a sock filled with beans, and you kind of grip it. That's where vibration comes into play. I didn't bring any of it with me today, but vibration, aside from standing on a platform, is you can tap your bones, your muscles, and that light stinging feeling stimulates the blood flow. The nervous system gets woke up, more blood flows. So if there's more blood, where's the blood coming? And blood comes from bones. That's where it's manufactured. Plus the tapping, we do the whole body. We do it, the femur, the top of the leg, all the way down. We haven't done that in a bit with the class, but tapping definitely. What happens is you're putting the body under tension from doing this, but also you're causing little micro bends, little micro breaks as you're tapping or you're holding the position. And again, that promotes the bone to become stronger. Under stress, bones will get stronger. So, vibration would have been machine, tapping like we just demonstrated. But hey, let's have you try something. If you want to try it, gotta stand up. You can do it sitting down too, but standing up is more fun. So we shake our hands like you just put your hands in some water. You got to get the water off your hands. So this is a form of vibration also. You're shaking the body in order to kind of vibrate, right? So if my hands are wet, I'm going to also get my forearms to move, and the elbows, and the shoulders. So hopefully it gets to the point where you're doing this so loosely that you can start to feel the skin move and the muscles move. Not just the bones in your arms moving, but the skin, the tissue, right? If that's fine, let your shoulders drop, and your hips and knees drop a little bit. If you can do all that, we lift our heels and gently come down, not like we're going to hit hard, not like that, but gently. So if we've been doing this for about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, I gotta get to 30 seconds. Come on, I do a minute and 5 minutes at a time. Stop and bring your hands together like a circle. Now some of you might feel tingling. That's your blood and your energy. It's moving, you got it moving. So grab a seat again if you would, unless you want to stand and do 5 more minutes. 5 minutes, can anybody imagine doing that for 5 minutes? You gotta build up to it, right? That would be like my instructors, the people I learned from, saying, guess what your lesson is today? Stand over there and do that for 15 minutes. After a minute or two, you're like, I can't do it anymore. No, keep going. So I found out, you keep doing it long enough, different parts of your body become engaged. They get tired. So then the next muscles take over, the next muscles take over, the next muscles take over. So anybody remember Jack LaLanne? Pretty neat guy, right? I think he passed away a year or two ago. He's like 93 maybe. So I looked him up again too, just because I wanted to refresh my memory. He did some crazy things like swimming from Alcatraz Island to Fisherman's Wharf. People, athletes don't do that. It's crazy. But he did this one thing, where he took a dumbbell, 1 pound dumbbell, and he held it out from his body, and he could do that for 12 minutes. Most people cannot stand still for 12 minutes. All right, that last thing, if I just said stand here let's do it for 5 minutes. After about a minute or so, your body's going to start moving and like, oh, my back is killing me from doing this. So the point I'm getting at, Jack LaLanne, 93 years old, I don't know when he did it, but he could hold that out for that long. So there comes a point where it's not just his arm, his shoulder gets engaged, and then his neck and his spine. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, it's taking his whole body under tension to hold that 1 pound weight out from his body. Pretty neat. Those are the kind of exercises that I teach. For our group, it's a little bit light. When I do it on my own, I can do it a little bit more intensely. So you might want to do more of that. I'm just joking. The different types of again, it's all different levels of what you try to accomplish with it. This makes sense so far? So we can do all these different things. Just come to my Tai Chi class and that'll answer your question. This is what you're talking about, Jim.
What about the vibration and osteoarthritis?
Yes.
So it cause inflammation for it?
Well, there's the gentle tapping, and then there's more aggressive. So with any of these things, you always start out gradual, and then after you see a day or two past that, if something is bothered or inflamed or irritated, then maybe I did a little too much. But in general, getting the body moving, getting the blood moving, getting the energy moving is usually going to be a good thing. It kind of scares me sometimes when people come not just from my class, but people I know, and they'll say, my doctor told me I can't do any exercise because my body is in such condition. I can't do this. And I'm like, your doctor's nuts. I'm sorry. The more you try to move your body, get the circulation moving, no matter what your injury is or illness, it's probably going to help. If not the body, the mind. Okay? So, yeah, the vibration, there are many different levels. The hand is kind of easy to do it light. I'm sorry?
Standing on the vibrating mat.
Oh, I don't think that's going to do that much. But again, you could start off with a minute, see how a minute is standing on it, and then let it go. Don't do it for a day. 2 days later, if you feel fine, then you can add and adjust to it. So usually that's with any of the exercises. People come in, try the class, like my hips really bothered me the other day. It's like, okay, was it from my class or was it, no, I went home and I sat by the pool for 5 hours and didn't get up. It's like, it wasn't the class, it was your lifestyle, it was other stuff. So always do it gradually if you're not sure what's going to happen. So I'm going to move on from this. We do hit all of these things with doing Tai Chi exercises. There's definitely tension, holding the body through the positions. Impact is not so much. We're not doing a lot of jarring in that, but there are occasionally movements where you set your foot down, you lift up, you might come down lightly or with a little bit of a stomp. Not everybody does that. I usually don't teach it that much in the class because I do know people in my group have knee problems and other joint problems. Let's do something else before we move on with this. We're going to run out of time soon here. Tension. Osteoporosis, osteoarthrosis, mostly in the joints. It's in the bones, the joint. That's the whole body, right? That's the basis of our body. It's the foundation. So it's funny. It's like, well, where do you see osteoporosis? Throughout the whole body. But the main area, you get osteoporosis in this bone, the wrists, knees, hands. It's the joints. It's the body. It's like you got 206 some bones. I think they all can get it, but some are more obvious than others because those are the ones that are under tension more often. So say we had our hands like this. Press your hands next to each other. If you want. If you don't feel like doing this, that's fine too. Try to bend your fingers back and forth a little bit. You're going to see your fingertips maybe turn colors, a little darker, because the blood's being kind of squished and stuck in the fingertips. Now, if you can move the fingers, maybe there's a little discomfort, try to go further where it's not just the fingers moving, but the wrist is moving a little bit. So I'm not doing this. This is called cheating. That's where I take all the tension away because I move my elbows and my shoulders. But I'm trying to really put the thought and the emphasis by the finger joints and then the wrist joints. So that's one form of tension for your wrists and your hands, promoting circulation, right? Another thing you can try to do is look at your palm, like it's facing right towards you. Put your other hand with your thumb in the palm and try to bend the hand down. So on its own, it's only going to go so far. That's great. You could do this 50 times. You might fall asleep, but 50 times it's going to start to feel some tension. Put this much effort into using the other hand, you're going to be able to squeeze it a little further. So what's happening, this hand is getting a little bit more flexible and more range of motion. This other hand is getting a bit stronger from doing the push part. So if that's fine, I'm going to switch my grip. Instead of my thumb being here, I'm going to put my thumb on the back side. And look how I'm turning it. So now it's not coming just down, I'm going twisting. So anytime we do a twisting type of movement, whether it's our wrist, our elbow, our shoulder, our torso, our hips, we do not want to twist our knees. That's one of the joints that we do not try to twist. The ankles, a little bit. That type of movement, twisting the ankles like so. If you do it moderately as you're continuing with your exercises, that's probably a good thing. You don't want to just be walking and twist your ankle, right? So those twisting kind of motions, it's called the tourniquet effect. Someone gets cut, oh, they're going to bleed to death, right? So you clamp it, you put something on a tourniquet, stop the blood flow. You get medical help, they stitch it up. Oh, time to release that tourniquet, otherwise your arm is going to be damaged now from lack of blood flow. So what I'm doing is strategic trauma. It's trauma. I'm twisting it. It hurts a little bit, but I'm strategically thinking how much I'm going to do with it. So like I said, that's the wrist, elbow, shoulder, torso, hips. Got to get the hands twisting too. Then it's very strategic, very deliberate. That's one of the main differences with Tai Chi and Qigong and yoga from other types of exercises. It's very deliberate, very specific what you're trying to accomplish. I wouldn't just say, okay, let's just stand up and jump around. If I'm going to have you stand up and jump around, I'm going to tell you how to jump around. I'm going to make my arms real loose. I'm going to make my shoulders loose. Oh, we're back to this exercise. This is my jumping around exercise. So there's always a reason for what we're doing. Yes? Which one? The thing I did just now with the twisting? Ah. Okay. This stuff is going to have to go away sometime here. We're going to run out of time, I think. Let's come back to the spine. And give me a little bit of space here. So you have 3 curves in the spine, really 4. That's your head. That's a tailbone. So what should happen, if we're doing this for our whole life, we stand, our spine gets very set in that way. The muscles, the bones, everything gets stronger for that position. When a time comes I need to do something like this, my spine does not like that. Okay, you have other people that maybe their whole life is spent hunched over, reading, or a computer, or doing something with their hands. When it comes time to straighten up, spine does not like that. So those curves are in our body. Whoever figured this out, it's brilliant, right? Right? Whoever figured out how the human body should work, figure it out. God, higher power, it's brilliant, right? That gives us stability and motion. So the goal is throughout the day, not always to be here, not always to be here. Neutral, but try to be able to go through the positions. You want to have flexibility to do this once in a while? You have to practice that kind of exercise. You want to be able to practice going this way. You want to be able to do side to side. And then rotating. With the exercises that we're doing, we move in 3 planes, which is what I just demonstrated. Forward and back, side to side, and rotate. This particular movement right here, forward and back. That doesn't do much for the spine. It keeps it straight. But now if I turn my shoulders each time, get the arm engaged, now my spine is starting to do that arching and rounding. Arching and rounding. So that covered this direction, this plane, and a front plane. Almost every movement of Tai Chi makes you move in and out of those 3 planes. So I don't know if that answers your question, but for your spine, most of the time throughout the day we try to stay standing up. Most of the Tai Chi movements you practice fairly vertical. When we start to do some of the other Qigong movements like I had done here, your spine goes many different directions. Very gentle, very smooth, very deliberate. It's not impact. Like okay, we're going to do like aerobics and just jump into place. That's probably not going to work for, making your bones healthier as you keep getting older. Does that answer your question? Kind of gets you in the ballpark. I can go over more if you want to stay after and talk more about the spine. So what I didn't get to, which I'm quickly running out of time, one of the best ways to keep your bones healthy, not to get them injured in the first place, right? So balance, you could see what we were just doing, some of the things you tried, there's a little bit of balance involved. The more you move, the more you get a sense of where your center of gravity is at, where your balance should be. What happens, though, is we are self-defeating in that we try to do exercises to stay fit and maybe healthy, but we don't necessarily try to be well. Well is like the overall picture. So fitness would be like when you're 19 or 20, you can go run 5 miles and then go home and drink beer and smoke a pack of cigarettes, and then the next day do it again. Run 5 miles again, do a marathon. Because when you're young, your body can stay fit. As you get older, you want to stay healthy. we are self-defeating in that we have so much tension going on up here that no matter what we do for exercise, sooner or later it comes back to us because of what's going on in our head. Excuse me. Hope that makes sense. So you come to the class, do Tai Chi, relax, do the breathing movements, but the whole time you're thinking about, I can't pay the bills, the weather's terrible, we got a tropical storm coming. You get all this tension in your head. And then you feel good, your body feels good, but your head doesn't. Well, stomach ulcers. When I was younger, I knew friends that had stomach ulcers. Why? Because they either were drinking a lot of alcohol or because they were so stressed out that it manifested itself in the stomach. Fear and anger. You know what that affects? Let's just go with anger. Anger makes your heart hurt, makes the heart stressed, also affects the liver. Anger goes right there. Fear is your bladder. What happens when someone's afraid? What happens when your dog's afraid? It pees, right? Lightning and thunder, the dog pees. That's your bladder. So as a culture, we're so much trying not to admit this that our thoughts are affecting our health. It is that way. Oh, it's all in your head. You got a pain in your shoulder. It's all in your head. Guess what? It is in your head. It is. What they've been telling you, it's true all along. You have the ability to make that better. That's where it's in your head. So this is what happens. When we breathe throughout the day, we're breathing 12 to 18 breaths per minute. That's a lot. It used to be 12 to 15 decades ago. And then our culture changed. We got computers, we got cars, we're flying, we're traveling. Because of having these benefits, we're breathing more. We're more active, we're more engaging with what we're looking at, what's going on around us. But guess what? It's like our air conditioner at the house. It's running all the time. It never gets a break. So you got to call the AC guy out because your air conditioner's always running. And they find out that you don't have enough Freon in it or something. It's making it work harder, right? So 12 to 15 is where we used to be. When we just start talking about breathing deep, and you and your thought, your inner dialogue, you go, oh, I am breathing kind of fast. You just start thinking about it, you get maybe to 10 breaths per minute. Why is that a good thing? Because at 10 breaths per minute, you engage this reflex, your nervous system, called the parasympathetic reflex, or parasympathetic nervous system. And that's the difference between when you feel like you're going to get injured and hurt, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do something, or you're like, I'm okay, it's not that bad, I'll take a deep breath. That's kind of the difference between the two. Yes?
Breathing, I think we need to really focus on breathing efficiently, proficiently. Breathing
Yes.
all the oxygen we can, but we also need to exhale all the carbon dioxide.
It's sufficient. You got to breathe in, you got to breathe out. That should be the number one thing you get from doing this, coming here today. You want to make your bones stronger? It's not just by doing the physical activity making your bones stronger. The way you make your bones stronger is by thinking about breathing deeper so you have less stress so the body is not taxed as much. Because part of the reason why people's bones get weaker, it's because the whole body in general is not running as efficiently as it should be. So if it's not your bones, it's your digestion. You don't digest as well as you used to. If it's not that, it's your heart. So it's always something. Yes?
Does it matter whether you're doing other training, do the breathe your chest or your belly?
Belly is preferred because it's a deeper breath. As we continue to age, we get older, we talk, we're doing all this stuff, people talk and eat, it gets more and more shallow. That's why I wanted to start with that one exercise, that we'd come back to it at the end. So a baby breathes on its own naturally. It breathes, its stomach moves in and out. It's like, wow, how come it's doing diaphragm breathing? Who taught the baby to do that? It knows instinctively. We lose it as we get older and we do our crazy stuff. Breathing from the diaphragm is what musicians do. Play the flute, woodwind. That's what singers, they breathe from the diaphragm so they have deeper breaths in order to carry the notes. Somebody had a question?
Yes, but we have is deep breathing good or should just
Yes.
not do
It comes back to it. If you do any exercise right before bed, it depends on the individual. You go one direction or the other. You exercise a lot before bed, it wakes you up, gets you alert, you stay up. You exercise and it tires you out, you go to sleep. I suggest doing breathing exercises or Tai Chi, because what it will do, it won't necessarily bring you up to wake you up or put you to sleep. It will make you find a stable in between. So how do we do that? When we first started the breathing, I said, here, breathe in, breathe out. I got you down to 10 breaths per minute. It's not that hard to get to that. The music you heard goes in 4-beat increments, and I play that music when we do the classes. So if you do 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, that gets us to 7.5 breaths per minute. 10 breaths per minute was where our body starts to do that parasympathetic reflex, where we say, hey, we feel like we're asleep. Our body can regenerate. We can restore. We can gain our energy back. 4 seconds in. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not that hard, but it takes effort to do. Any of these things we talked about, swimming, weights, dancing, it takes effort. Our culture is so hooked now on just going to the hospital or going to a doctor and getting a pill. You're really having problems with stress. You should relieve your stress. But in the meantime, here's some medicine. The medicine is you. You got it. Do the exercises. Do Tai Chi. Do swimming. Do walking. Do something that makes you feel like you're in that zone. So this is hard to accomplish with some of these things here. Bicycling, you're not going to be able to breathe that deep. Your heart rate's going to spike and do it. So now 4, 4, 4. So say I do 4, and then I hold it for 4 seconds, and then I exhale. So I think that comes out to about 5 breaths a minute. That takes a little effort. That's challenging. But you'll gain the benefits from it. If you do that for 5 minutes a day, just sit there, put on some music. The music I have, by the way, it's free. You can get it on Amazon. There's some free music that's out there. And just listen to music for 5 minutes with breathing like that. It's like a reset button. It's like turning your computer on and off because the computer ain't working. You're like, reboot it. And you turn it back on, and it's like, oh, it's working great again. Do some breathing movements for 5 minutes, and it will reset that. So why is this so important? Because this connects to our thoughts. When you put emphasis towards your thoughts, okay, what am I thinking about? Thinking about time, because we're running out of time, right? You're thinking about lunch, thinking about this. Your thoughts affect your emotions. So what happens when you run out of time? Your emotions are like, got to get moving, right? So you're getting anxious. So the blood chemistry changes. And you start putting cortisol into your blood. And the body says, hey, we need adrenaline and cortisol because we're stressed and we need it. And those are the things that keep tearing your body down. And that's what makes your bones eventually not as efficient, your digestion not as efficient, your circulatory system not working.
Where do you give your class?
I am right down the road. If you went out to the parking lot and you look at the end of the street, when you pull out of here, there's the church at the end of the street right there. It's Winter Park Presbyterian Church. A weekly class, Mondays and Fridays. Not today, because we're here. And then occasionally this month we got a couple Wednesday classes because of my schedule. It's 11:30 to 12:30 until something changes where there's more people that want to do it at a different time or another location. I always have that offer out there that if you want to start another class with me somewhere, let me know. But I need people to do it and commit to it. So how many of you were here last year when I talked or down the road? So you remember me, right? I did the same thing last year, so I'll keep doing this. Whether you keep doing it, that's another question. If you don't find me to do it, find somebody that will help you to either learn these things or something that's going to make you, reach the goals you want to.
How many people will you need to go to someplace
To start a new class? I live in Longwood. I live by Wekiva State Park. I do private classes right there now because I haven't had 10 people or so that want to do it. Usually it's 1 or 2 here and there in my neighborhood. So I'd like 10. If we had a group of 10, that's wonderful. But usually I say, just give me a call. Let me know what you can come up with. So a lot of people like to talk about health. Like, they want to go to the health club. Hey, we got one right here, a beautiful facility. But the reality of it is it drops off after they sign up. It's $8 per class. It's a drop-in class. You come and go as you please. So, we got all this, beautiful facility and everything, but really what it all comes down to is you got to be committed to do it. Fitness is getting in good shape. Health is how well your body functions. Wellness is the whole package. Having your health, having fitness that you can do what you want to do, and having some, thought patterns that are not stressful but are actually more of a positive part of your life. So any other last questions? Because we're probably going to have to do it after, we already ran after 1 o'clock. So.
So if you come and learn some Tai Chi, is it a practice that's easy to then take on your own? Like in other words, if somebody can't get to class very often, can they learn some movements that they can?
They can. It all, again, goes back to individual, what they're feeling comfortable with doing. So some of you look at this and go, this is way too complicated, it's too much. Others is like, that's easy, it's boring. It's all of that, it's none of that. It's all what you make of it. So what I do, like I said, I videotape the class, right? There's sheets up here for you to take, any of the stuff, it's good information. On the back of this one, it's got all my email sites and web pages and YouTube. Watch a class. Don't even come, stay home. Turn on the TV, find YouTube or the computer, and do a 20-minute class, and then you'll know, oh, that's how a class goes. It's always better to do it in person, because you can always ask questions, or there's just a different energy in the room when you have people in the room. So can you learn it on your own? I'm not going to put my people on the spot, but I have people who've been coming for years. Some of them do it on their own at home. Some of them don't do it at all. They need the help coming to the class. One thing to get out of it, if you did today, that thing at the beginning was breathing, sitting in a chair, deep breaths. If you want to count 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, that's great. The shaking, if you did that every day, that would be definitely beneficial for you. Other than that, you might want to take one of my classes, or I know they got classes here too at the center. So I think we're late and we're running out of time. So
We want to thank Jim so much.
thank you.
That's a very energetic, enthusiastic, engaging presentation.
Nobody fell asleep, I hope.
I know.
That's my goal, is nobody falls asleep. So
We want to thank you, and you did a marvelous job. With
Thank
us
you.
here. We'd like to
oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.